So I sat down and watched Zach's ceremony, and I found it to be an absolutely amazing and beautiful documentary. So I was wondering if you could start off by telling us a little bit about where the idea came about for you to first of all make this documentary.
I think it's always been a burning ambition, sort of in the background, that I wanted to tell a story that was uniquely, I guess, First Nations, Indigenous, or whatever you want to say, and I also wanted to tell a story in a powerful way that delved into our cultural practices and some of our ceremonies that we practice, and why they're important, and why they, I guess, need to be respected as such, and rebirthed into our society. To me, it was always something in the background that I wanted to do. I think it's from an early stage when I first got involved with the media and first started doing radio that I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I wanted to make a film about how powerful our ceremonies were. Because I looked at the world stage and I saw all these other sort of cultures that were being, I guess, glamorized or popularized and put up on a pedestal, and for some reason our mob just wasn't. And I kind of, to me, it just didn't make sense. So I went, okay, I'm going to show how I can make a film to show why it should be on that same platform as all these other mobs.
For our listeners out there that may not know a little bit about Aboriginal culture, tell us a little bit about how important ceremonies are to your culture, but also about the ceremony that Zach goes through in this documentary as well.
Look, ceremony is I guess it's an integral part of our being, of who we are as First Nations people. Being someone of the land, of culture, of knowledge, of ceremony, of purpose. It actually gives you your purpose and gives you your foundation, and it gives you your standing within your community. There's a lot of layers to why ceremonies are important, and there's a lot of reasoning behind practicing them or keeping them alive amongst our community. I believe, without a doubt, that once a lot of our ceremonies were, I guess, wiped out or lost or removed from our society, it created some of the chaos that we're living with now. So to me, it was making a film that was going to go back into who we are and why we behaved in the way we did. And ceremonies give you, a lot of our ceremonies actually gives you the rules and laws that governs our society.
So how did you approach the subject with Zach when you first decided to make the documentary, and how open was he to the idea in the first place?
Well, the original way the film was going to be made was I was just going to make it about myself and my kids, my family. So at the time when I first picked up the camera, I was a single dad living in Brisbane, working for Tiger Bells at 98.9 FM, and I just picked up a camera and started filming everything I was doing and filming going home. And Zach just always saw the camera around, and he'd always hear me on radio. He'd come into the radios and jump on the radio with me. So it was something that was kind of normalized within my household to have camera equipment or radio stuff laying around. As I guess the film progressed, and it took me almost 10 years to make the film. The camera kind of naturally gravitated towards Zach for the reason he was kind of the show off in our family. Zach was always the one that he was the look at me kid and wanted attention all the time. So it was just a natural progression. And then eventually, Zach didn't see it as making the film. Zach just saw it as hanging out with his dad and doing cool stuff with his dad. As he got older and when the film finally dropped, he didn't realize, oh my God, we've actually made a film here. So it was just part of our everyday life, and it just became a film at the end of it. And I think if I did it the other way and told him we were making a film, he probably wouldn't want to be in front of the camera. But he kind of naturally loved being in front of the camera.
Yeah, there's so many different topics that are explored in the documentary as well. Racism, a young boy trying to fit into both ancient culture and modern culture. What was that journey like for you as the filmmaker, watching the documentary go in so many different directions while you were filming it over those years?
When the concept came to me and when I started filming, I had all these things in my head that I wanted to say. So everything that's in the film is what every Aboriginal person, every First Nation person in this country wants to say on a grand scale on the platform, right? They all all want to say all this stuff. They just have never been given that platform to do it. And because I thought this is going to be my one shot of actually getting a documentary made that's going to address some serious issues in our community, I want to say as much as possible. I want to address the alcohol and drug issue. I want to address the identity issue. I want to address the yellow full of black issue. I want to address the half caste problem. I want to address I guess treaty sovereignty. I wanted to get into all of them and not even find solutions for them, but put them out there on the table to be able to discuss them and work together to find solutions to them. So, I just went all in. Basically, I just went, you know what, I'm just going to have a go at this and put it all on the table and see where it all lands. And that's why, it was important to create this educational toolkit, which we're pushing now into schools, to hopefully get into, from year 8 to year 10, so they can have these conversations, these uncomfortable conversations in a safe space.
That was actually going to be my next question. If people do have questions after they watch the documentary and they do want to learn more about First Nations culture, where can they go to actually learn more about the culture?
With me, there's, I guess me personally, I do a lot of reading. I certainly go to a library and learn a lot about our mob or buy books that, people have written about our mob. But I'll suggest you this one. Gary Foley has a Koori history website. Gary Foley, of course, part of the Black Panther movement, part of a man that has done a lot for our people of the many years in black politics. He's now set up, he's a lecturer at Melbourne University, and he set up a Koori history website. If you jump in there, you'll certainly learn a lot about black history and about our mob. With that ceremony, we've created an educational toolkit that we're hoping to implement in schools across the country. This resource will be given to kids from year 8 up to year 10, and hopefully, it'll open their eyes into the bigger picture of the Aboriginal struggle in this country and a lot of the issues that matter to us within our community.
The other question I wanted to ask as well is, where can people check out Zach's ceremony? I know that it's getting a very, very short release online for NAIDOC Week, but where can people check out Zach's ceremony?
Well, they can go to our website at www.zachceremony.com. You can go to our website and download the film on there. Umbrella Films distributes the DVDs in the country as well. We've got a fresh batch coming soon. They can also order it online from Umbrella or order it online from us at Zach Ceremony. We're happy to sort of get as much out as we can. I know DVDs are starting to become, I guess, obsolete due to technology, but sometimes it's good to have a DVD at home with the cover and whatnot. So we're looking at doing a big push with the educational toolkit and hopefully get people to download the film off our website. And also, we're looking at getting some posters out to people as well. Because it's good to have an aspiring, powerful film that gives our young ones a hero, and gives our mob, pride in their culture and their ceremonies.
Definitely. Alec, where to now for you as a filmmaker? This was such an amazing documentary. Are you looking to bring out more documentaries now about your culture as well?
Certainly. I'm currently working on my new documentary feature series. It'll be a 3-part series. It's called The Drover's Son, and it actually it's a personal journey of me discovering my white man father, who was a really famous drover in the outback. He was one of the big names in the droving world. He was such an amazing, I guess, man amongst the droving fraternity that, I would say that the Hugh Jackman character in the movie Australia with Nicole Kidman was pretty much based on him. This guy was, a big deal. So I'm making a documentary about my personal journey about, the impact, I guess, droving parties had on Aboriginal communities out in the bush, and I guess that relationship between black women and white man drovers. We also delved into, I guess, slavery in Australia, how Aboriginal people were, taken as slaves on droving parties and on cattle properties in this country. A lot of people think that there was no slavery in Australia. That's a lie. I'm a product of slavery, so that's my next documentary feature. We're looking at. It's called The Drover's Son, and it's a journey into who I am and who my white man father was. We've been discovering some pretty amazing things about him. But we also want to look at, I guess, some of the ugliness that's taking place in this country and the practices of this thing called the drover's boy. I don't know if you've heard of the drover's boy, but
yep.
Young Aboriginal girls would be taken as droving parties and dressed up as boys, and they'd also become sex slaves for the drovers. So these are some of the uncomfortable, ugly truths that we need to speak about in order for us to heal as a nation.
Definitely. Well, Alec, we cannot wait to see your future projects as well, because that sounds like an absolutely amazing documentary that everybody will need to watch. Again, we thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been an absolute privilege, and we're hoping that a lot of our listeners do take this opportunity to go out and watch Zach's ceremony.
Look, I wish all of you more, but happy NAIDOC week. I'll also say this other thing we're doing as well, if I let you go, we're dropping a new YouTube series called The Last Frontier. We're dropping the first episode on Friday the 13th, call it Black Friday. And it follows the journey of the creation of the Gulf Country Frontier Days Festival. And I created a festival up home in Alec Doomadgee, where we bring native mob from around the world together. So you can watch the journey on our YouTube channel starting this Friday, The Last Frontier. Our first episode drops following the journey of the Frontier Festival out on country up in the Gulf there.
Definitely, and we'll share that channel out to everybody on social media as well. Alec, thank you so much for chatting to us. It's been a privilege, and hopefully we get to talk to you again in the future for your new documentary.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it, and big love to all your mob out there. Stay safe, and happy NAIDOC week. Enjoy being a blackfellow this week.
You too, mate. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.